Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. I really do have to admire the way that Eddie Hearn, he still manages to front such a positive position on his fighter Anthony Joshua's WBA belt, which he is at risk of being stripped. About 10 days ago, the WBA announced the respective teams of Joshua and WBA mandatory Luis Ortiz had 30 days to make a fight. So we've just got a couple more weeks to go before we actually find out what happens, unless there is a resolution beforehand. That really did come as a bolt from the blue, as fight fans had been led to believe the WBA had agreed to let Kubrat Pulev, the IBF mandatory, take his shot at Joshua first. But the paperwork, that certainly showed different, and it was never the case. Old Eddie had certainly sold us his ideal vision of how he wanted it to work. So when the IBF immediately announced after the WBA that Joshua's team had 30 days to make a fight with the IBF mandatory Pulev, well, we certainly all collectively turned our minds to the question, what is going to happen here? Will Joshua be stripped? Will they take that WBA belt off him, or will he give it up voluntarily? It's certainly clear from what Eddie Hearn is saying that they are going the IBF route first. It makes sense, that was Joshua's first belt, and they're going to fight Kubrat Pulev next, no matter what happens. So it remains to be seen what magic or otherwise Hearn can work to keep that WBA belt with AJ, while keeping the Luis Ortiz camp sweet and out of court. Obviously, they have threatened legal action if they don't get their shot next. You know, at this point in time, I don't see any way that they can keep that belt. But I did have a real chuckle at an Eddie Hearn quote that I read in a recent article on Boxing Scene. It was in a story from a couple of days ago, link in the description. So this is Hearn. We're making good progress, and we know the fourth defense of his IBF world title and the first defense of his WBA crown will be against IBF mandatory challenger Kubrat Pulev. I really do have to say that with all that is going on, Eddie Hearn has supreme confidence to say that the first defense of the WBA crown is ballsy indeed. And it got me thinking, why am I just assuming that the WBA will strip Joshua? After all, Joshua is the money man in the division right now. He's making it rain big time. Those fights that they're holding, it's not just a couple of $1 million here and there, it's tens of millions of dollars. There's a reason the WBA put that vacant belt up for Joshua versus Klitschko. So why then would they just be so willing just to walk away, especially given the potential cut they'd be giving up on? As we know, these sanctioning bodies are a law unto themselves. So I guess, we can't really rule anything out right now. The next couple of weeks, that will certainly be interesting. But I can't help feel that Luis Ortiz, he will end up being the odd man out again, and that he'll have to wait longer for his title shot. It really will be interesting to see what the impact, the threat of court action from Team Ortiz has on this whole situation. But I guess, sanctioning bodies, you never know what's going to happen. I guess all we can say is watch this space. What do you make of this whole situation? Do you think that the WBA will try to make Joshua keep that belt because he is the rain man at the moment, he is bringing the money to the division? Or do you think they are going to basically enforce their own rules and make sure that Ortiz gets his shot no matter who that's against? Okay, that's it from me. Hit like and subscribe. I'm out.